Okay, this is part 2 of the daily retest trading strategy video series. In this video, I'm just going to go through 3 main considerations I take into account when evaluating a setup. Okay. So firstly, whether price is hitting an SR or SD informing a breakout or prior to the actual daily retest, the clarity of the SR in its history, the breakout bar close size, and any rejection signs. So let's go through some examples of this, each of these. We can see we have the SR, we have the breakout, a very strong breakout. We can assume demand within this wick, but in forming this breakout, we've actually hit a lower support resistance or support. Okay, and why is that important is because in hitting support we're hitting demand. Okay, so price is coming back after hitting clear demand. Okay, so it's coming back with renewed strength that it wouldn't otherwise have if there was space to the left. Okay, so we're looking for continuation of the bearish sentiment, so we're looking for that essentially, but in order to do that, we don't want price to be hitting demand to the left. Okay, because it means it's coming back after hitting clear demand. It has buying strength now, okay, which wouldn't be present if we had space to the left. It doesn't mean it's not going to work out, but it just lowers the probability of the setup because we're hitting an area where we know that we have buyers. Okay, so we have strong buying coming back from demand into an area where we had the breakout. It becomes a lower probability setup. So that's something you need to consider when evaluating a setup. Look for price hitting supply demand SRs informing that breakout bar. Okay, and look at the way price comes back. Okay, that tells you about the buying strength or the strength of the rejection from the supply demand or SR. Okay, ideally we don't want price to be hitting supply demand SR informing that breakout bar. It lowers the probability of the setup. Okay, clarity of SR in history is pretty straightforward. In order to be a setup, we have to have a clear SR. I'm not looking for swing highs or anything like that. I'm just looking for a clear SR. This one we don't have it. We have a swing high, multiple rejection wicks from around the area, but we just have a close here. But there's no history to this. Okay, I want another bar close, open close, or bar highs to confirm this exact area as an SR. Okay, so this actually leads to a false breakout. Okay, which is more likely to occur because the lack of clarity in the history of this SR. The breakout bar close size and rejection signs. Now, this is another example of price hitting supply within forming the breakout bar, and this is what I mean by rejection signs. Okay, we've had strong buying, we've had a breakout of this area, close above. We've consumed supply within here. We've consumed some supply within here, but we haven't materially broken above this area. Okay, we can see from this area, and there's likely to be to the left further supply, and price is coming back with rejection. Okay, I want to see a close above here, or just not any kind of rejection from here. I'll be looking if price closed. If price closed up here, for example, I'll be watching how it came back on maybe a H4 time frame. If it was hitting a clear supply zone to the left, because I want to see how strong that rejection is from supply. Okay, if it's very strong, then this becomes more of a 50-50 setup in terms of which ones are stronger, the rejection from supply or the demand that's sitting here, whether it's going to go up or down. It becomes more of a 50-50, where you have to watch price action, which isn't the purpose of this strategy. Not to sit here and watch it on the lower time frames. It's a higher time frame trading strategy. Okay, so you can see from this close that we've had a strong rejection. Okay, so therefore there's not enough information here for me to want to take a trade on the retest, because I don't know whether that is rejection or supply consumption And the point is I don't know, therefore I'm not going to take a retest trade here. I don't want to see price being rejected from a higher supply demand support resistance to the left. Okay, I want to see it to be pure, to be spaced to the left, and for a good close and a good breakout, and therefore the only dominant force in the market is the sentiment and buying strength that caused that breakout. I don't want to be opposing or going against any renewed selling strength from anything to the left, and that breakout bar in terms of rejection it shows we have had a strong selling coming in to overcome the actual breakout momentum itself. Okay, and I don't want that. I don't want to be going against any obvious selling strength when taking the immediate retest. Okay. This one you'll see that the actual breakout by itself didn't clear the immediate supply. This is the immediate wick to be concerned with, because we have supply up here that caused rejection. Therefore, I want to consume that supply. So either close is fine there because it's a material close above the SR, but I want to see a bar wick above that previous bar wick. So I'd want to see something like that if the close was here. So I know that the supply here has been consumed and any supply here has been consumed, but most important is the most recent price action history. So I want to know that that supply has been consumed, and therefore I can maybe target the supply within this bar wick on the immediate retest. So I can look for something like that. But the fact we haven't consumed the supply within here means it's a lower probability set up taking the immediate retest, because we are going against clear renewed selling strength. Okay, as I said before, we don't want any selling strength or buying strength going against our breakout. Okay, we don't want any obvious selling strength and going against supply demand or an SR informing that breakout bar suggests that, and also looking for the strong rejection informing the breakout bar, i.e. that previous example, this one, clear selling strength coming in. I don't want that. That shouldn't be occurring. If this breakout momentum, the order flow behind a breakout, we know already, therefore this has to be strong selling to overcome the breakout rush that occurs, and that's a concern. You've got to look at setups in terms of what is the dominant force in the market. We only want it to be the breakout momentum, the sentiment that causes the breakout. That's all we want. We don't want any obvious supply demand SRs or any obvious selling buying sentence come in informing the breakout bar to be going against when trading the immediate retest. Okay, so that's just a few examples there. I'll go over more when I do the webinars on this, but this purpose of the videos is just to really simply explain what I look for and why. So they are the three considerations. Clarity of the SR in its history is pretty straightforward. The breakout bar close has got to go close above the most recent obviously the SR itself, and consume any immediate supply demand to the left. Okay, we don't want strong rejection signs informing the breakout bar, because that suggests renewed buying and selling strength going against what we know is a strong order flow based breakout in terms of the breakout rush that occurs. So that suggests we've had renewed buying and selling come into the market, so we don't want that, because we don't want to be going against opposing buying and selling strength. Okay, and the same with hitting a clear SRSD informing that breakout bar. It's the same reasoning. We are going against renewed buying and selling strength. We don't want that opposing buying and selling strength. We want just purely the dominant force in the market to be the sentiment that caused that breakout, and therefore we want to then we want to trade it on the immediate retest.